Welcome back to Well, That's Interesting, the shit getting stuck inside people again edition.
Ah, yes, part deux.
That's right.
I can't believe I just said part deux.
It could be part trois at this point. I have no
Part
idea.
trois. We've done a lot of episodes about stuff inside people.
Yeah.
It might be like part 25, to be honest. I think a majority of our episodes are
The shit inside people.
shit inside people.
God, yeah. And it might be 25 because this is In-Betweeni 025.
Hell yeah.
Embedded bullet causes lead poisoning 14 years later.
Damn.
And a man's dentures get stuck in his throat after surgery. So those are our true stories today.
Couple doozies, man. Full disclosure, Jill told me, sometimes she tells me the title, sometimes she doesn't. She told me the title before we recorded this. And I said, how long were the man's dentures stuck in his throat? 14 years?
It was, we'll get into the numbers, and one day is too long, honestly.
I think 3 minutes is too long, to be honest. I think 1 minute, I think at all is too long.
Yes, I am Jill Chacha, and I am with the amazing, she's got all her teeth, Marissa Riley.
I've got all my teeth, y'all. I woke up, I put on some pants today. I am amazing.
High five.
High five.
Great stuff. And before we get into our two stories, we wanted to just thank and shout out Kissy4647 for their fucking amazing review on Apple Podcasts.
Fuck yes.
Hailing from the glorious UK, Kissy wrote, "You scream, I scream, Marissa screams a lot."
I do. Well, I do. I didn't realize I screamed so much until Kissy4647 pointed that out. And I hope it's not ruining y'all's experiences.
No, it's a 5-star experience, according to Kissy.
That's
right
true. This is true.
They said, "Every week I listen, and the In-Betweenies, I sit mouth agape at the stories I hear. Most of the stories seem so unreal that there's no doubt they're real. It's a successful week if I've screamed and laughed as much as Marissa." So,
I mean, what a review.
Fantastic.
A lot of these things are funny, but for the most part, they are horrifying.
Yeah.
So I am screaming on behalf of the listeners. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to do this live, like in front of an audience, so we can have like a collective screaming. That's what I want. That's my dream.
We should just, if we do a live show, we should just start with a collective scream. Because I know there are people who are listening to this who want to scream either about the podcast or about their lives. Mm-hmm. So I think we all just need to scream. And I know you can't because you are stuck inside, a building or a house full of people.
Right.
You don't want to freak them out.
Right. All right. Collective screaming. Put that on the list of things
do
to
it.
do. All right.
Podcast over.
Should we begin today's episode?
We shall.
In-Betweeni 025. Okay, so let's start with the embedded bullet. How about that?
Yes. Tell me about it.
Okay. Let's head over to the city of Chicago in early 2018. There, a 46-year-old man walked into the emergency room of John H. Stroger Hospital of Cook County. He complained of severe chronic pain in his left knee, and when doctors took a look-see, the left knee was about the size of a small balloon.
Oh, shit.
So,
that's too big.
It's big. When visiting the emergency room, or any doctor visit really, you're asked for your medical history. Mm-hmm. And this gentleman happened to reveal he was shot in that knee back in 2004. Needless to say, this now became a case that was more complicated than just arthritis.
Yep. And you know what I'm going to ask? Yeah. Are we going to talk about that shooting?
We will continue.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Let's get into it.
That's a good question. Quote, radiographs obtained at the time of the injury, again, 14 years prior, showed a metallic bullet embedded in the posterior weight-bearing surface of the lateral femoral condyle and metallic debris within the joint. As seen in panel A, end quote. And we're going to explain a lot of fancy shit words in a minute, But first, would you like to see panel A?
Of course. I also want to point out that metallic debris in the body
Yeah.
sounds like worst case scenario.
It's not good. It's not good. You don't want that there.
I'm not going to lie. If you have to Google, what do I do with the metallic debris in my body? Hospital for you.
Yeah.
It's a hospital for
It's a
you.
hospital visit. Minimum. By the way, this quote was from Lead Toxicity from a Retained Bullet, the study in the New England Journal of Medicine. We're basing our episode on this, and the x-rays are from that study too. We'll put all of the pics on our Instagram. Well, that's interesting pod, so you can play along as we go through this.
You can scream with me.
Scream
at
in
your
real time.
preferred volume.
Yeah, okay. Are you ready for panel A?
Probably not, but you got to show it to me.
Okay.
Oh, it's bad. Okay, so what I'm looking at in panel A is an x-ray of a knee. I don't know much about bones, but it does look like a knee. And it looks like the part, I don't know what this is going to sound really stupid, where the leg, damn it.
No, I'm laughing with you.
Okay,
I'm just watching you struggle. It's the cutest thing.
It's the knee joint.
Yes.
Okay, the knee joint. We're looking at the knee joint where the bones sort of converge.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Sure.
Anyways, inside one of the bones is a large white spot, which I'm assuming is some metallic debris.
It's that goddamn bullet.
And I see a couple little other teeny tiny white flecks, and I'm wondering if that's more metallic debris.
Yeah, so this is the interactive portion of our show.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. Everyone, take your finger
All right, I got
and stick it in the small, soft spot just to the left of your kneecap.
Okay. All right.
All right, push it in there. And this little area is the lateral femoral condyle, those fancy words, and it's at the very end of your thigh bone, called the femur. So that's all that is. That's where the bullet landed, just to the left of his kneecap.
I see.
There you go.
I see. I am following along. I'm really proud of myself.
Yeah, this is great. So after getting shot, no surgery was performed to remove the bullet. And Michael Schendelbeck, MD, the interim program director of Cook County Hospital's emergency medicine residency, told Gizmodo in an interview, "I'm not certain why the bullet was left in place initially in 2004.
Okay.
So let's put a pin in this, though, okay?
Yeah, let's definitely come back to this. I want to know what was going on there.
So new radiographs were performed, and holy shit, you won't believe your eyes. Quote, "The bullet had fragmented into metallic particles throughout the joint and the synovium, as seen in panel B." And would you like to see panel B?
Fuck yeah.
The after 2004.
Yes.
So this is in
Show me the B.
2014. Sorry, 2018.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's bad. Okay, so before there was like one big white spot with a bunch of teeny tiny little white spots, and here it looks like clouds all over this knee joint. There are a couple of big white spots. It almost looks like fungus or something has sprouted up.
Yeah.
So it looks bad.
Yeah, it almost looks like sand also. Like if you just sprinkled sand or some shit, like just the bullet is now no longer one bullet.
No, it's much more.
Yeah. And just to be clear, the synovium is just connective tissue that lines the inside of a joint. So for over 14 years, this bullet was slowly breaking down, dissolving, and releasing lead into his bloodstream. And knee pain was just the beginning of his problems. So, blood tests revealed he had developed anemia, a condition where you lack enough healthy red blood cells to carry adequate oxygen to your body's tissues. This was discovered with a hemoglobin test, and hemoglobin are those red blood cells that carry the oxygen around your body, you know?
Yeah.
So the man's levels were 9.1, where a healthy level is somewhere between 12.9 and 16.8. So
Yay!
low.
Low.
And this anemia was a symptom of, you guessed it, Good old-fashioned lead poisoning.
Fuck yeah.
That's right. Now, before we get into some fun facts about lead poisoning, let's continue focusing on the dude for a minute.
Yes.
Now, to get that lead out, he underwent chelation therapy.
Okay.
And would you please read from the always optimistic website, webmd.com, about what chelation therapy is?
I'm already feeling like I haven't started reading the quote, but every time I read WebMD, I feel personally attacked.
Yes.
So let's all remember this has nothing to do with us. I'll take a moment and remember this quote is not about us. It's not going to ruin our days. Okay, quote, when metals like lead, mercury, iron, and arsenic build up in your body, they can be toxic. Chelating therapy is a treatment that uses medicine to remove these metals so they don't make you sick. Awesome. Chelating therapy uses special drugs that bind to metals in your blood. You get the chelating medicine through an intravenous tube in your arm. It's also available in pill form. Once the drug is attached to the metal, your body removes them both through your pee. End quote.
There you go.
Awesome. So, okay, something wonderful that came out of WebMD.
Yeah.
For once. So it sounds like you take this medicine, it absorbs or attaches to these harmful materials, and then you pee it out.
Then you just take a piss. Beautiful.
Hey,
Beautiful.
nice.
Yeah. That is good news. And the therapy worked and prepared him for the next step, which was to remove all those toxic metal fucking shards.
Yay.
Quote, but the man left the hospital before the surgery could take place, and the doctors weren't able to get in touch with him again, end quote.
What?
So, remember when I said, like, put a pin in 2004 when the doctors didn't remove the bullet?
Yeah.
It's probably because he left.
This guy, you need to not ghost your doctors.
No, especially
when you've been shot. I am the last person to talk about this. Don't ghost your doctor when you've been shot.
Yeah. But luckily, he came to his senses. I mean, maybe he realized he could easily get lead poisoning again. So continuing from gizmodo.com, quote, he has returned several times since I first submitted the case report to the New England Journal of Medicine this past March, and he did have surgery to remove some of the joint capsule, the tissue that was absorbing the lead, in April, said Michael Schildenbach, the writer and doctor. His follow-up from that point has been spotty at best, and his serum lead levels remain pretty elevated to this day, end quote.
Oh, no.
So, he is a difficult patient, but he will survive his 14-year-plus ordeal. And if you're wondering if he was the first person to get lead poisoning from an embedded bullet, fuck no. Human beings have been doing this shit for hundreds of years.
Not surprised.
But thanks to the internets and specifically the National Library of Medicine website, pubmed.gov,
Nice.
you could do a little research. And if you enter lead poisoning caused by bullet, 186 cases come up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's too many.
That's a lot. Also, a little timeline pops up too, and it ranges from like 1917 to 2021. And each year has like a little bar there's like a little bar over it representing like the case numbers.
Right.
And boy howdy, the trend is pretty clear. We are living in the golden age of embedded bullets causing lead poisoning.
No.
Record number of cases in 1994. There were 10 cases there.
Shit.
2016 had 8. 2017 had 7. No cases yet in 2021. But, you know, what is it? February?
Yeah.
March? So, it's young.
It's not too late.
The year is young. There you go. It's not too late. We can still... We're looking at you, 94.
You can still get some shit embedded.
Another webpage you should definitely check out is the wiki for lead poisoning.
Fun.
There's lots of little gems and hidden facts there. You want to run through a few before the break?
I would love to.
Okay, so the wiki lists the possible exposure routes for like how lead might end up in your body. Some routes could be found they're just food and paint and soil and water, but it could also be in your opium, so please check your opium sources.
Definitely will. We'll be testing all of my drugs and poppy seed muffins.
In the summary box on the far right, the only risk factor listed for getting lead poisoning is, quote, being a child.
What?
I know.
What?
Yeah. And I really dig this fact as well. And could you do the honors and please read us this fact right here?
Of course. Quote, people have been mining and using lead for thousands of years. Descriptions of lead poisoning date to at least 2000 BC, while efforts to limit lead's use date back to at least the 16th century. Yeah. End quote. Interesting.
Yeah. So let's not understate the how problematic lead poisoning is and its impact, especially on children.
Definitely, yes.
Developmental delays, learning difficulties, irritability are just some of the symptoms which, ignored or untreated, can lead to problems as an adult. Also on the wiki page, it notes several shocking studies under the section simply titled Violence.
Oh, no.
Quote, an increase in lead exposure in children was linked to an increase in aggravated assault rates 22 years later.
Wow.
For instance, the peak in leaded gasoline use in the late 1970s corresponds to a peak in aggravated assault rates in the late 1990s in urban areas across the United States. End quote.
What?
Yeah.
What? I'm going to scream again. What a fascinating connection. That is insane.
Yeah. So, all shocking, but thankfully, all very preventable and now treatable. And after the break, we're going to talk about dentures getting stuck in a throat. Which was also preventable.
Definitely. Absolutely. I see that as very preventable.
Yeah. We'll be back.
Sounds good.
Hello, everyone. You may recognize me as Gabby from the History of Everything podcast.
And my name is Brenna, and you don't recognize me from anything yet.
Together, we're two scientists who explore all of the weird little questions and conspiracies of the universe in our new podcast, Mystery of Everything. Everything has an explanation.
We hope.
That is what we're here to figure out. We will dive into the science behind many popular conspiracy theories, such as vaccines causing autism, flat Earth theory, and was the moon landing fake? And if so, why the heck would anyone even do that?
But it's not just conspiracies. There's a lot of cool mysteries that we will attempt to use science to explain, such as near-death experiences, what made the Vikings go berserk, and can I control my co-host with MK Ultra?
Wait, what? Anyway, make sure to check out the Mystery of Everything podcast everywhere where you find your podcasts.
Hello everyone, Stakuyi here.
And I'm Gabby.
And we are the hosts of History of Everything, a podcast which you can probably guess by the name is, well, it's about everything. Do you want to know why people thought potatoes were evil and would give you syphilis? Are you curious about all the stories of the terrible and stupid ways that people have kicked the bucket over the years? Do you want to hear tales about all of the different badasses of history and the lives that they had brought to life? Well, if so, then look no further. History of Everything is just the right podcast for you. It's available on Spotify, Pandora, and anywhere else that you get your podcast from. Join us for some fun and just see how weird and wacky history can be.
Hey everyone, Jill Chacha here from Well, That's Interesting, and I am absolutely thrilled to tell you about Spotify for podcasters. I use it, I love it, and it all started by downloading the free Spotify for Podcasters app, which has all the tools you need in one place to record and edit your masterpiece of a podcast. Spotify for Podcasters also distributes your show to all major platforms. So when you hit publish, your episodes will stream not only on Spotify, but I'm talking about the Apples, the Googles, Stitcher, Good Pods, the other ones. You get the idea. And you can monetize your podcast with no minimum listenership required. You could also set up monthly subscriptions and record ads just like this one. So what are you waiting for? Download Spotify for Podcasters today and start changing the world. Oh, and please, stay interesting. And we're back.
We are so back.
We're so back. We didn't ghost you.
Nope.
Like some other people.
Yeah.
Ghosting their doctors.
Like some other people with fucking particles in their knees who did get lead poisoning.
Yeah. We learned a lesson, I think.
I think so.
Okay. Now, let's move on to the second half of our show. And we have to go back in time now, to 2019.
Long time ago.
Yes, a couple of lifetimes ago. And we're in the UK. And a 72-year-old man had just been discharged from the hospital for minor surgery. He had a benign lump in his chest, and it was removed, and all went well. That's not entirely true.
Of course it wasn't.
So the lump was removed successfully, but shortly after this procedure, the man would find blood in his mouth, followed by inexplicable pain in his throat and trouble swallowing. He struggled this way for 6 entire days.
Oh my God.
When he decided to head back to the hospital because it got to the point he couldn't eat solid food.
No.
Yeah. Quote, doctors initially suspected his symptoms were the result of a respiratory infection, possibly mixed with the after effects of having been intubated during surgery. They sent him home with antibiotics and other drugs. And that's from, Gizmodo.com. The medical paper that published this man's case, BMJ Case Reports, states that the antibiotics were for what doctors thought was aspiration pneumonia.
Okay.
Okay. But the 72-year-old man returned home and struggled for 2 more days trying to swallow the pills they gave him.
No.
But he could not take them, and yes, once again, admitted himself to the same hospital.
What is blowing my mind, actually, it's not blowing my mind. It's just it's like holding up a mirror to us, is that we hate going to doctors.
Yeah.
And we would rather not be able to swallow for days.
Yes.
Or have lead poisoning, or have a bullet in our knee for 14 years.
Yeah.
And then fucking go talk to someone about it.
Yeah.
We gotta go to the doctor, man.
Yeah. And then you hear like this guy's case where he's going and they're just not helping.
They're just not helping.
So it's just like
we need
something has to start working here.
We need better health care, and we need doctors
Who listen. Yeah.
And I think I solved all the problems. I'll write an email.
Podcast over. So, where are we? Okay, so he can't take these pills. He goes back to the hospital. And would you like to read from the same Gizmodo article? A man's dentures got stuck in his throat during surgery, leaving him bleeding for weeks.
Oh my God, of course I would.
All right.
Quote, doctors still mistakenly assumed he had developed severe pneumonia. Oh my God. Possibly caused by having inhaled food, stomach acid, or saliva into his lungs. But when a new set of doctors actually looked inside the man's throat, I repeat, actually looked inside the man's throat, after the man again complained about his symptoms, they quickly spotted something lodged across his larynx. End quote. Holy shit. You guys, you didn't even look?
No. What? So, would you like to see the x-rays? And please tell us if you can spot the problem. First, we're going to take a look at the side view, and then we're going to look straight on. And of course, all of these x-rays will be on our Instagram. Well, that's interesting pod. So, first x-ray, side view. Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, there's a big problem there. It's obvious. I'm not even a doctor. And it's the profile view of someone's throat area and jaw. It's an x-ray, and right in the throat area, there's a big white hunk of something that looks like it doesn't belong.
Right, exactly. Now, would you like the straight on view? You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It is painfully obvious. It's the x-ray of a person's throat, and right in the middle of this neck that I'm looking at is what looks like dentures. Yep. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
The fact that anyone missed this is so embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fucking teeth, man. That is a set of dentures.
Oh my God.
Yeah. On the positive side, this became a learning experience for the medical field.
The learning experience is to look at your patient. Question mark.
Case study author Harriet Knife. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Harriet is an ear, nose, and throat specialist at James Paget hospital. They wrote, quote, presence of any dental prosthetics should be clearly documented before and after any procedure, and all members of the theater team should be aware of the perioperative plan for them, end quote. Now, wait, you were going to say something?
There was a theater team?
I think
Like, there was a large group of, like, I've seen in doctors' shows where there's, like, kind of a seating area when people are getting operations.
Yeah.
Are we saying that there were, like, 20 people there watching this?
so. This is in the UK, so that might be like there might be like anyone in the room at the time for the surgery.
I see. Okay,
Yeah, so
okay. I'm being really hard on these doctors, and I need to pull back.
Understandable.
Maybe they were tired. Maybe this procedure wasn't there yet. So
maybe we shouldn't have theater kids doing surgery.
yeah, or maybe we shouldn't have theater kids doing surgery.
It's either one or the other.
One
I'm
or the
not sure.
other. You guys.
So I also know what you're thinking. How the fuck did they get down there in the first place?
That's also a great question, which I wasn't asking myself, which is hilarious in and of itself.
Well, it's possible the Dentures were accidentally pushed in when he was intubated.
Okay.
Which makes me furious and cringe when I think about all the fucking elderly people who were and are being intubated thanks to COVID.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, Harriet, the author/specialist, did a little digging and reported in a 15-year span, 83 other people lost their dentures the same way.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
83?
Yeah.
And while you're being intubated, that is a very invasive and scary procedure.
Yeah.
The fact that it was so... I'm not a medical professional, but like the fact that that happens so many times, I don't know. It freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah. In this case, the false teeth were removed with forceps, ... But that's not the end of his damn nightmare.
No.
Over 6 weeks, the following pattern occurred. Blood would flow into his mouth, he would panic, get admitted into the hospital, and then get discharged after all looked okay. But the blood would return, and he would panic, and then he would head right back, and so on and so on.
Yeah, as one would do. I would too.
Exactly.
That's alarming.
After finally another deep dive into his throat by doctors, they found a torn artery.
Oh my God.
I know. Surgery was performed. They closed it up. And thankfully, y'all, he too made a full recovery. No more blood pooling in the mouth. And that's a happy ending for this kind of podcast. So,
Yeah.
please subscribe. Please rate.
I wish I had thought of this at the beginning of this section, but I wish I'd kept a tally of the number of times he had to go to the hospital. I think we landed on like 6 or 12 or something like that. That's
God.
ridiculous.
Yeah. I'd say a dozen.
Oh, man.
So,
I'm glad he's okay now, and I'm
Yeah.
glad we have a procedure in place that's hopefully keeping our lovely elderly patients dealing with COVID right now
God damn.
from having this happen.
Yeah. So it's just something else to weigh on your mind.
Yes. Another thing to worry about.
So please, stay interesting.
Please do.